Good morning, evening, wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. This is ZENcast Live. We are talking anything ZenWorks here. So, regarding Microfocus ZenWorks ZCM 2020 today, we're doing monitoring tasks and activities with dashboards and dashlets. So, we're going to be covering a few things here. Got a little bit of a shift in our format change because the introductions have been so long. We've had some great input from the audience. We're going to shorten that up a little bit and do a lot of the versioning at the end. So we'll just have a what's new and then get right into having our guests here talk about the the portion that they're going to be discussing and showing, and then we'll do the stuff at the end. So this is ZenCast Live. We meet the first and third Tuesday of each month, 9 o'clock Mountain Time, North America. You can also subscribe on the Microfocus Support and Training channel, which will give you a notification when we go live. Okay? And then different details and recordings, you can get those at the Microfocus YouTube training channel. Actually, it's Support and Training YouTube channel. And then the ZenCast Live upcoming schedule is there as well. So if you look at the upcoming schedule, you can see what's coming up next, what we've done in the past, and what's coming up next. Okay, we're currently here. So you can see and kind of forecast what you can chime in on and be available for. So we appreciate you checking that out. A little bit of channel housekeeping tips. Log into the YouTube chat and you can talk to us over the stream. You can ask questions. We can try and get details to you. Subscribe to the notifications so that you'll get the notifications as well as comments in the recordings. A day after, we can then trim this down so that we have a final copy, and that's when I'll put the details in with links and downloads and stuff in the comments. I typically do that right after, but then we trim it down the next day for just keeping the content all contained, because we actually start like 20 minutes early, right? So then you could also do an @direct message, put an @ sign in front of the name that you see in chat, and you could direct message them. Also, if you click on your gear, you can go to some of the components like turning autoplay off, and the best quality is 720/60 HD. So if you do those things, you'll be well ahead of the game. Download the presentation. You can also download it here. I'll put it in chat. So if you download this presentation, you'll actually be able to get the links that are in the presentation, right? And that way you don't have to write them down or try and track where we're going. Good morning, Don. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you coming aboard. Past sessions and recordings are also viewable at the Microfocus Support and Training YouTube channel. Okay, today's schedule is ZCM Dashboards. Let's monitor what's going on. We have guests Darren Vanderbos and Vikram Goyal. They're both PMs for the ZenWorks. We're going to introduce them in just a moment. In the meantime, we're going to go through a couple of things that are new. So the Microfocus Customer Portal, hopefully wow, tongue-tied today. Hopefully everybody has logged in and you can get your licenses. Everything's accurate. If it's not accurate, please report the discrepancies to these email addresses so that you can make sure you have what you need when you do your upgrade. You know, you're not scrambling trying to find somebody to get you a license code because it wasn't in the portal or something. Okay. Also, there's some resources here and links to the resources should you download this particular PowerPoint. So what's new? ZCM 2020 Update 2. There's a TID out there, 7025142, and a README about what's going on with 2020 Update 2. All the fixes and update information is here. ZRS also has been released. It's 7.8, and it's been released, and along with 2020 Update 2, you actually upgrade that through the online updates. So this particular version, from going from 7.2 to 7.8, you upgrade through the online updates in the appliance. Also, MFDC 21.7 has been released. There's a README out there that you can go to. Filer 4.3, T drive mount points, workspace analytics, and those types of things. More LMS enhancements and session sign off, which are some really big news out there for this particular product, and especially for those working from home. Okay, just a little recap. ZCM, we covered ZCM 2020 Update 2 last week, or last time. And I said there's a Sybase cleanup scripts. There's the TID there. It'll tell you where to find those scripts. So if you've upgraded in 2017 from Sybase to another database, it takes a copy of your Sybase so that you could revert if you're still on 2017. Once you get to 2020, you're not going back. So you can actually remove those particular database files from the Sybase that's on that appliance. So there's the TID there. You can reference and take care of that. Also, we had a question regarding APNS certificates and certs. And there's a quick database query you could do. Select star from Z opaque data. And that should have been opaque DATA. And I'll correct that before I put it online. And that'll give you your APN certificates. So they're actually in the database. So thank you. I think it was Steve that asked that last week. Couple of things about this week's session. We had a community discussion. It came up about dashboards, and things like my team doesn't really use much. We don't know what they can do. So can we get a general introduction and overview? So some of the things we're going to cover today is what areas we can use dashboards and dashlets, creating really useful dashboards for daily use, and functional dashboards for applications and bundles. So we're going to move on over and get right into the thick of things. We're going to introduce product managers Darren Vandenbos and Vikram Goyal, and we're going to discuss a few things about dashboards today. Vikram, Darren, are you there?
Hi, Paul.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Paul.
Glad to have you aboard. We're going to move on over to. I appreciate you coming aboard. You're going to talk a little bit about dashlets, dashboards, how they can be useful in ZCM. We've had some community discussion about that, so we appreciate your being able to clarify some of those things. Hopefully, we'll get some questions in the chat so that we can you can answer those. If not, I know you have some great stuff to demo for us. So we'll go ahead and go on into your demonstration. Let me bring you up here. I got you up. And who's going to go first? Oh, a little quick intro. Vikram, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I'm product manager for configuration management.
Excellent. Darren?
Great. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Vikram. Yeah, I have the endpoint security products, so patch management, endpoint security, and full disk encryption.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you guys are here being able to share with us today. I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to you. You should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take the first step.
Okay. Thanks, Vikram.
Okay, great. Can you confirm if you can see the screen?
Yes, we can. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
No.
Let's see. Not yet. There we go. It's getting there. Let me.
Yeah, now you can, I think so.
Yeah. And I'm going to try and make the layout so they can see even more of it. Hang on a second. Full screen view. There we go. Yep.
Okay. That's great. Cool. So hello, everyone. So today I'm going to talk a lot about dashboards, and during the course of this time, I'll also try to delve into some of the things which we had which we had thought of during this whole period. So dashboards, in the sense in which right now you know it, they made it their first appearance quite some time back. That is in 2017 update 3. That's when we actually got down to having a really good set of the dashboards. And I think that's, if you're in that version onward, that's when you will actually start seeing something like, if you would have seen the dashboard tab up right over here alongside the home, and you would have seen a pretty cool set of the dashlets which appear here. So just as a terminology for those who may not be aware. So we call this as a dashlet, and this whole thing on which all of these dashlets reside is something what we refer to as a dashboard. And from that time onwards, as and when we have developed any significant new features, or we have essentially went back and reworked a lot of the existing features, we have made sure that we surface this information back in the form of some useful dashlets and something which you can then monitor on an ongoing basis, and you can actually get more information out of it. So in some parts, we are going to see, is that some of the information which is present over here as a part of these dashlets, right, that till before these dashlets came into the picture, right, you would have actually needed to go back to a reporting server to find that information. So one of the aims for introducing this dashlet is to ensure that you actually can get this information right within the console. We also looked into the other aspect that how we can actually have some of these dashlets designed so that actually they can actually help you do your work more efficiently. So some of these dashlets are more like an action-oriented dashlet, so where they can actually show you some kind of the data, and then based upon the data, what you actually see, then you can take an appropriate set of the action and go forward. So that's how it is. So right forward, so we have dashlets all across the board. So we have dashlets which actually which tell you more about, okay, how the devices are. So those are the dashlets which reside, if you go to the devices tab, and you will see a dashboard link over here. So those are the dashlets which reside in this particular home. Then we have dashlets which are available along with the bundle. So each and every bundle has a set of the dashlets, and they are available over here. And yeah, and then we have lots and lots of dashlets which are available as a part of the security. So security is actually full of it. I'm going to, once I finish, I'll turn the time over to Darren, and who will walk you through the different set of all of these wonderful dashlets what we have here as a part of the security thing. I mean, we have multiple dashboards available here in which you can place things, right? So as a note, what we are going to talk about is this dashlet. So most of the dashlets can actually go and come and reside here in this home dashboard. So that's something which is possible. And but they can also reside within their home's place, let's say, which in the case of the bundles will be this here. Okay, so let's start with bundles. I think that's the first part of the question was, right? That when Paul mentioned this to me, I think the question primarily related around to the bundle. So I'll start off with the bundles, and maybe time permitting, then I'll try to go over to the different aspects and try to see. One thing is that most of the functionalities which you're going to see as we go over here, they are actually common across the dashlets, barring a few of them. Okay, so let's go to the bundles, and let's pick out a bundle which I have recently created. So it does have some kind of data. No, this is not the one, but yes, this is the one which I have. So for those of you who are still on the 17 on X, right, you won't be seeing the dashlets for the bundles, because this is the functionality which we introduced as a part of the 2020 itself. So in 2020, what we did is that we actually went back and revamped totally the way the bundle status is calculated and displayed. So we made significant changes over there. So earlier you used to have something like a deployment status, which was essentially like a calculated status of, okay, hey, what actually happened back with the bundle. But in most of the time, that deployment status was not really that accurate, or was not really giving out a good set of the picture. So what we did is, okay, we said, let's not deal with the deployment status anymore, but let's go down to the basic individual statuses, which is distribution status, install status, and the launch status, which corresponds to the three different action sets within the life cycle of a bundle. That bundle first gets distributed, then it gets installed, then it gets launched. So that's what it. It's much better for us to present that information in a granular fashion, so you who are the admins can make better sense of it. So that was the key part of it, right? That why we actually went out to make changes, because the status itself was not really that accurate. And while we were doing that, we said, yeah, hey, if you're doing this thing, it makes sense for us to present this information in a much better manner than what we were doing earlier. So some of you may remember that earlier we used to have these numbers which used to come up, and then you used to drill down to it, and you will get to see some information, but maybe not all. So that's something what we want to get away with. And that's why we decided that, okay, hey, let's bring in some better set of the data for the bundles and how we, because that's something which I believe that almost everyone uses day in, day out. So that's why I introduced something called this dashboard tab over here. And what you actually see here is essentially the data, what you were seeing in that snapshot there, but it's much more obviously, gives you a much better view. And as we are going to see, it can give you much more information than what was previously possible. So every bundle, when you actually create a bundle, right? So it will start out with these individual dashlets. So these are 5 dashlets which it will come out with. And so if you notice, what I did is I just removed this dashlet from this particular homepage. It is still there, and I'll show you how we can actually get it back. So these are the 5 different dashlets a bundle always starts out with. So let's say if you go back and create a bundle. So for example, if I go back and look into this particular bundle, in which I haven't done really anything here, no assignment, nothing is there. So all these dashlets will show me no data because nothing has happened. So there's no distribution, no assignment happened, so forth, so forth. But as and when I actually do things, the data will start popping up over here. So let's say, um, so let's go back to this one, right, which actually has a data. Give it a second. So now let's say when you actually start about assigning this dashlet, what you can do is that you can actually take this dashlet and put it into your home page. So if you as an admin are really interested in this particular bundle, right, and you want to really track that, okay, what's actually happening with it, what you can do is that you can actually do this thing and you can put it into the home page, right? So that's one of the useful things what you can do. And when you go back over here to the dashboard, which is at the home level, you will see it appear over here, and it will tell you that. So this can be one place where you can decide to put in dashlets, which are very important if you want to track status of some specific bundles, right? Because I'm sure that most of you may have tens or hundreds of bundles in your zone which you're doing, and you may not really want to track each and every one of them. But if there's really important one which you want to track, you can always put it over here. And all of this placements is something which is admin specific. So what you do over here is not something which is visible to any other admin. So it is unique to you. So you can actually go wild with it if you want to. Okay, so we'll come back over here and come back to this particular dashboard. Okay, so let's drill down into this thing. So when you actually go ahead and do an assignment, what you will see is that you will see a device assignment status. And at this point of the time, before I go forward, what I will do, I'll actually start some exercise here. So because this is going to take a little bit of the time. So this is a bundle, which is, if you go back and see, it's not really assigned to anyone. So at this point of the time, what I will do is I'll go ahead and assign it to a specific set of my workstations. And let me see where I have hidden those workstations. There they are. Yeah. So there are 2 workstations which are within this thing, and that's it. I'm not really going to specify any schedule, so that will give me an opportunity to control the way things happen. And obviously, you can specify a schedule, and things will happen as and when you do a refresh of it. But in my scheme of things right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trigger these refreshes back from the device if needed. And from there in how we'll see how things goes. Okay, so we will do a finish of it. And at this point of the time, if you go, so for this particular bundle, still nothing. That's right, what actually did happen. So what is happening is that this data wouldn't, if you see over here, we actually have a line here which says data as of 10 hours ago, refresh data, dashboard for the unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this particular one here, and that's why it will tell me the the latest data, which if I right now drill down, right, it will tell me that there are 2 device assignments, because in that particular folder which I had, there were 2 devices, and on 2 of them, there's pending, because most likely if I see, these devices would have hibernated by now. If not, okay, they're still active, but since I never specified any schedule, so there's no refresh which has happened. So the bundle is not really going to flow down unless I actually do something on it. And so till that time, since the assignment calculation is incomplete, so that's why you will see I'll come back and try to log onto this one. So you are going to see that the assignment calculation is incomplete. So that's why we actually have a status which is pending. As and when the device refreshes and we are able to calculate fully whether the assignment is fully effective or not, till that time, the device assignment status will remain pending. Okay, so what I'm going, just give me a second, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, here. So now I have done this assignment, but let's say once the assignment actually the devices do get back, what you're going to see here is something what I showed you back onto this particular bundle, where if I go down to this particular dashlet, it does take some time, this particular bit. And I can tell you, we have tried to reduce this particular part, and we'll keep on trying to work this thing on. So here it tells me on this one, right, this is another second bundle which I had, and this tells me effective because the device, the devices did refresh back, and we actually got the status back on this thing. So here, as you see, there are different type of the filters which are possible, and you can actually do a lot of the work possible. So unfortunately, this is a little bit homogeneous environment which I'm really working on, so I don't really have different set of the operating system. But in case you had actually assigned this device bundle to more set of the devices, so you will see all those operating systems over here. And potentially, let's say if you're interested in to track a specific set of the operating system, you can actually do that, okay, whether that is successful or not successful. So here, obviously, that's not really going to make sense because we only have one side. Again, right, let's say if you have different type of the devices and you're interested in tracking, so you can actually make another set of the dashlet, which you can actually do. So let's say if it was some kind of the all-purpose thing and it's mobile, and obviously you're going to see no data over here, but right, so these filters can actually help you reduce and get you a focus area on which you can want to track it. So maybe when we were talking about earlier, right, about tracking a bundle installation, maybe you're not really interested in all the specific, that how overall that is. Maybe you're interested in knowing that, okay, hey, did this bundle got installed successfully on my boss's desktop or not? Or maybe did it actually landed successfully on my CIO's desktop or not? So if you actually want to do that, you can actually find out a folder and you can search for a folder and specify that folder as a group and track only that specific set and create a dashlet out of it and then put it on your desktop. So that's one of the beauties of it, right? So you can track individual folder. You can create these dashlets at an individual folder level itself. Or I think you can actually even do it at an individual device level. Let me see. Yeah, it's folder levels. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you can do that, or if you, as a separate operating system. So there are many things. If you actually have a bundle which is going to go across, and there are multiple set of the agents which are going to work on it, like say you may have a 20.1 agent, you may have a 20.0 agent, and you're really worried that, okay, hey, is this going to work out for 20.0 thing, right? So again, there you can choose the agent version and create a specific dashlet and then put it on your dashboard for your tracking purposes. It also gives you the ability, right, where you can actually track a published version or a sandbox version. So if you're working with sandbox bundles and you have created a sandbox, right, and now you want to track, right, that, hey, whether this, because let's say you're testing out an application and you have it in a sandbox mode, and now you want to see, okay, whether the sandbox, how successful that sandbox is, and you want to track it again, right? So you have that kind of a filter available. Maybe, so we have different sets of filters which cater to the assignment status. So if you are, if you want to filter some of them down, let's say whether got pending or effective, not effective, so on and so forth. So status time. So there are multiple set of options which are available, right? And really, so you can track that, okay, how the assignments are. So all assignments, or you can specifically track to the direct assignments to which it belongs. So multiple things available. And frankly, I know the question was that, okay, how you can actually find out some more effective use cases. But then the question here is that, right, you need to see that, right, what you're really interested in tracking, whether that makes sense for you. And from that perspective, I think we have enough set of the filters to get you to track either one specific object or a group of the objects or a different versions of the bundles and so on and so forth. So all that data is available here in the form of these filters available.
And it looks like you can also, actually, if you're deploying the same bundle to multiple locations, you can set separate dashlets for those locations too, right? If you do a certain group, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do it based on the device groups or the device folders, right? So that's fair, right? So you can track it, let's say at the site level, right? If you want to track it per site part, right? So, and if your sites are, let's say per folder, you can do that, or if your sites are distributed, if you have organized your sites based upon the groups, yes, that is also possible. So those things are possible. And again, so it will, so the dashlet itself will only give you assignment status, right? So that's what it is. But I think that's the whole point of the status was, right? This dashlet is to give you assignment status, but you can slice and dice into different ways in which you are really interested in.
Certainly. And I noticed the exports up there in the pins.
Oh yeah. So if you want to get this data out, so you can actually export it the CSV. You want to pin this thing, so you can pin to. So when you do the pin, it will tell you where all you can actually pin this particular dashlet. And this is the same thing. So if you want to make changes to it, right? So if you, so the way to go about doing that is, let's say, okay, let me see what I can change it to. No, all of them are similar for me. So, but if you want, you can always select a set of the devices using these filters. And then, as I said, right, then you can create a dashlet, click on save, and your dashlet is ready. And then you can put it anywhere. We have also provided, and this is something which is common across all of the dashlet, is that you have a lot of the columns. And here we have only these many columns, but if you go back and see, as I'm going to show you shortly, we have more and more columns which are available across dashlet. So one of the thing is that this tells you when was the status time and when it was processed. So there can be a delay because it took some time for the status to be uploaded. So that's what the processing time will indicate back to you. And it will tell you how this particular dashlet device got the thing. So if I click over here, it will show me the assignment through which it actually came in, or it will show you the assignment, device assignment, and the bundle assignment, the way it was. Okay. If you go back and block a particular thing, it will show you the block time over here. So that kind of, again, so this is the kind of the data which was not really available before these things came in. And so now that's something which is available for you to talk about it. So if you have different versions, so that bundle version will come over here and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's go back and let's quickly delve into these dashlet, which is distribution dashlet, install dashlet, and the launch status dashlet. Okay. So first and foremost, something which you may not have noticed, if at all, is that all of these dashlets are actually one and the same. The distribution status dashlet, the install status dashlet, and the launch status dashlet, they are essentially one and the same. It's just that the way you should see it is that they are essentially three different versions of the same basic dashlet, in which, I mean, it's like a default dashlets which we have created, each catering to distribution, install, and the launch. But all of them are fundamentally same. They have the same set of filters, and they have the same set of the columns which are available. So that's the first thing. And so if, let's say, this is my distribution status section, but if I want to make it install, I just need to show group chart data by install and do the apply, and that's what it will become. So it will then become now install dashboard. Obviously, the name is not changing, and that's something which you may need to go back and save it as a install status dashboard, but it is all one and the same. Here, again, I'm going to do a reset. And so if you go over there and see, right, so there in the assignment, we actually had two devices coming up. But what we had over here is that we have here only one device which came up. So it tells you that so now if you have to see, right, that you assigned it on two devices, but when the distribution happened, the distribution is still happened only for the one device which is there, and the rest of the device I don't really even have status. So let me see if I can filter some of the information out. So again, we have these general filters, which are something which we just saw as a part of the this thing, the assignment dashlets. So most of the filters are already similar in nature. And I'll go to the distribution dashlet, and what I actually have is that this is tells me about the published latest version. So by default, if you want to have a look at different versions of the distribution, you can always do that. And again, so this scenario may actually come in handy, let's say when you have multiple versions of the same bundle being there. And so by default, it will always show you the status for the published version. But in case you're interested in knowing that, okay, hey, I had an earlier version of the bundle, let's say, what happened to that? So what you can do is that you can always click on the publish older versions, and it will tell you the older versions, and you have to, it will tell you the status of those of them. Or you can specify the particular version which you have in mind, and you can specify the value of that, and it can even tell you the data correspond to that. So if I do all versions of here, what I actually will see, there's another row over here. So this is my another device. So what has happened is that on this device, nothing has happened. So why we don't see a figure over here is that there's no status which has been received from it. So by default, what we show you is the status when we receive something from it, from that device. So that's why you don't see it. But if we don't receive something from that particular device, we don't get to see. So at this point of the time, what I will do is that I will go back to my workstation. And this is a workstation, which unfortunately, I need to see how to log to it. Because in my Zeal, what I did, I changed the name of the user just before the demo. So clever of me. I still haven't learned not to touch up, not to mess with the setup if it is already working. Yeah, you thought I would have learned it by now, Paul.
We've all been there.
Okay, so what I have is, so this is that particular machine, and what I'm going to do is, and again, we have, since I haven't specified schedule over here, so that's why you see this particular bundle here, but nothing has actually happened. So I will right now just click on it and let it do its own thing. So in a short while, as you will see, this bundle will get installed, and we will try to get, we will get some status over there. And that time we will jump back to here and see. Okay, so let's go back to the CCC here. So at this time, it's good to for me to show you that you can actually see multiple things on a same screen. So you have so many set of the filters which or columns which are available. So for example, I'm not really let's say, interested in these messages and the time, or maybe even this thing. What I'm really interested in is the statuses. So what I do, I just get these statuses in, and that's it. So this panel tells you that the distribution has been success, and the install has been success, and the launch has been success. Though it is still grouped on the, if you see, the group by part is still on the distribution, right? But for this particular dashlet, right, if you want to have it in a fashion where you want to, let's say, focus only on some specific columns, you can definitely do that. So the way these dashlets are designed fundamentally is that, right, they will, at the higher level, they will actually tell your status, right? And that status, like it is true for the assignment, which I just talked about, right? That status can be for a specific set of the device or a group of the devices, and those kind of the filters are all available. So you can do that status reporting based on your agent version, operating system, type of the device, and so on and so forth. I mean, again, it goes back to all these set of the filters which we have available, and you can actually play around with them to your heart's content and do that. But once you actually have a dashlet, right, let's say if you're interested in a specific set of the columns, so that kind of the data is also available here. So in a one go, right, let's say I can actually see that, okay, but my distribution has been success and install has been success and launch has been success. So you don't really need to have 3 different dashlets to fulfill one part, right? You can straight away have it all in a single dashlet. All of that is available, and similar set of the filters are available across all of them. So what I'm going to do this and apply. So that will now give me all the values. So it tells me for this particular thing, everything is right now unknown, and distribution and install status is success for this one. But since it never had any launch action, so that's why the launch status will always be unknown for this bundle. And that's something which you need to correlate, that since this never had any launch status, so maybe it is not relevant for me to even put out a column for the launch status. So that's why I take it off. Okay, and this time, let's see, most likely it has happened, right? So another part is that, let's say if you're really interested to find out, okay, hey, what's actually happened with that bundle? If I am not really seeing, so I am right now keep on seeing the status is unknown, but if I went back and saw, right, this bundle has actually got installed on the device. So, but that it's not really straight away going to come in, right? That is going to take its own sweet time for the data to come in. Though in 2020, we made sure that the data doesn't really go through the collection framework. So the device will actually contact the server directly and upload the status, but again, it is going to do its own schedule. So if you are really in a hurry and you want to track, okay, hey, let's say that why it is not really installed on it, what you can do is that you can do a retrieve bundle status. And what it will do is that it will create a quick task. And as part of the quick task, we will fetch the data and it will get updated. Okay, so I'm not sure if it is going to work because I've been having some network issues. So what I'm going to do to be safe is I'm going to do a ZACR, which is going to make sure that it updates the status back, but ideally you would not really need to do that. But since this is right now residing within a VM, I've seen in my setup some kind of the delays happening. So that is the reason for this workaround. At some point at the time, this should get updated. Let's see that the quick task went through. Done, right? And if I go back and click this thing, see, it changed to 100%. Now at this point of the time, both the distribution and install status is 100 and you can track it. So that's another useful feature of this particular set of the dashboard. That's what we really wanted to do with this dashboard, was to make them actionable. So when you actually go and see here, right, you can do something more useful than just see on the status also. So obviously you can install, if something has failed on this bundle, right, you can always have a look. Another key thing which I want to talk about, and which I found a very good use case, but was not there. It's this thing. So effective assignment exists here. So here you can actually see whether an effective assignment existed on this device or not. Right. Now what I'm going to do is, let me go back. And where was we? I'm sorry. Relationships. I'm sorry, it's just lost it. I'll add, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add specific devices so that on one of the devices it is there and one of the devices it is not there. And again, I need to find out which that devices, where my devices are. Okay, so on this, I will add it. Okay. I'm sorry, there was a disturbance at my end. I needed to mute. Sorry about that. So we will go and we finished the assignment. So what I've done, I've actually added another direct assignment for this device. And the reason I've done is I'm actually going to remove this particular assignment over here. So now that assignment is there only on one specific device and not on all devices. So let's see how this actually pans out on my assignment dashlet. And so if you run into something like this situation where you're changing the assignments, right? How can you track some of these scenarios and what's happened? Okay, I thought I lost it for a minute, and I'll do a refresh and it tells me now there's only one effective assignment which is there, right? So the first assignment got removed, but if I go back, it will not tell me that my bundle is still installed on two devices. So this is another thing, right? Where let's say if you are trying to do some reshuffling and you want to know whether that particular bundle is still installed on that device or not. So this to assign once you remove the assignment, right? So at some point of the time, the bundle will get uninstalled. But let's say if you have, it hasn't yet done so by itself and you want to track that scenario. So that is one way that you can see over here. Another useful feature is that we actually have this effective assignment exist flag, which can help you track that data. So here you see that I see that this bundle is still installed on two devices, but when you come to this particular column, right, it tells you that, hey, on this, there's no effective assignment exists. So ideally this should not be here, but it is supposed to be here because it has an assignment on this particular device. The bundle should not really be there. And if it hasn't yet get uninstalled by itself, that may be something which you may then gives you a look, right? That, okay, hey, why that is not really happening? And you can go back and check that out, kind of a thing.
That's a really effective grid, so you can really see what's, especially like the licensed applications and stuff that you're paying money for.
Right. Another thing which we ended up doing, and again, right, so that is not to the dashlet, but to the grid part, right? So earlier you used to see some error messages or something, so they used to come in not over here. So what we have done is that we have actually now having these messages come in here itself. So right now I don't have any install messages here, but if it were to, then they will come back and come over here. And from right here, let's say if this is a failure, let me see if I can get you that failed bundle at all or not. We did this assignment, right? So potentially out here, let's see what has happened on this particular bundle, because I did refresh one device. And let me see if I go back and refresh this device also and see what does happen. Sorry. Okay, let's come back here. So we have two device assignment pending status, and we still haven't got these devices come back on it, right? So that's why you see them still as a pending one. See, So maybe the devices are not really refreshing by itself. Yeah, the notepad came in. Ideally, it should have uploaded. I'm not sure what's happening in this setup. Okay, let's see the distribution status. So maybe this, okay, maybe I triggered the refresh earlier. It still hasn't happened. So let me do this. Okay. And I'm just trying to see if I can get an installation to fail. So I can tell you that how easy it is to figure that particular aspect out. So
Sure. And
bear with me.
while that's refreshing, one question came in. Is there a limit on how many devices we can select for a quick task refresh for the bundle status, like 50 or?
Paul, I think this is still limited to the device number of the devices which we can select for any other quick task. So this quick task is something similar to that.
Okay.
I'm not really sure, but I think that was 30 or what it was. Do you have a?
Yeah,
Do you remember
I'm
the top of your
thinking
head? That
30 comes to mind for some reason.
right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking also. But
Thanks, Kurt, for that
so
question.
yeah, so it is still a quick task part, right? It is still limited to that.
Sure.
That's how it was. Okay, so maybe this is not going to be very helpful. Okay, I'll leave this thing here. But again, right, what I was trying to do over here was that you can actually see, because I actually had some problem in one of these bundles, and I was pretty sure that this bundle is not really going to install on one of the devices, and I was hoping that I can actually get you see that message. But again, live demos don't really work that well. That's again,
That's
again
okay.
and again, it keeps on coming back.
It's good to know that that's there, so we can research that. That's good.
Yeah, but yeah, you will see the messages part right there, and maybe once we are at the end of it, right, once before I pass it on to Darren, I'll try to see if something has really happened, and we can show you. Okay. Another thing, right, and that's something which is, so this was all on the bundles, and I hope you had some pretty good idea about that, the things which you can do. And again, I'm happy to take some questions, and or you can send them back to also if you have some specific need, right? We can always guide you that whether that is possible. If it is not, right, that's always a good idea to post out and request in the IDS portal on the community side. So we can definitely go back and see how we can get that to you. Okay, so this is a dashboard for the devices, and there's a lot of the stuff which it can do. So for example, if you've ever wondered, right, what kind of devices you have in your zone, this is your device distribution dashlet, and it tells you in a very pretty way that what you can do. So here, if you see, there are two different ways you can group this particular thing. One is on the, so sorry, one is this axis, and another is, okay, within that what you want, and you can really play around with that. So I can do this first grouping as agent version and second grouping as device group and do an apply. Go. Okay, totally changed. So now it tells you there are no agent on these many devices, 20.0, and within that it tells you that which are the first, right? Or within this agent version, maybe I'm interested in the platform, which may make more sense for me, right? So it tells you that this is your Windows, no agent, and iPad OS, no agent, which is the mix, iOS, no agent. And if you're talking about why on Windows we have no agent, so these are your Windows MDM devices, which we have introduced as part of 2022, which don't really require an agent for some of the capabilities. So that's why you see as Windows over here. But again, right, different views, and this can make for a pretty good picture if you want to. Again, so that's something typically if you had really required such kind of the data or such kind of analysis to be done, you would have really needed to go to the reporting server, but all this information is available to you right here, right, as a part of this dashboard. Again, you have like the other dashboards, you have different columns which you can do and put over here. So if you're doing, so not all columns are there, yeah, but we have tried to give you more columns than you would, let's say, find on our typical ZCC listing screen. Cool. Yeah. So many set of the columns are available, and you can do, and obviously you can do a filter on it, so on and so forth. And again, right, we have provided out with the some basic set of the things which you can do with it. So right here, if you want to say find out some devices, you can do a trigger a refresh on it, do an unenroll, refresh policy, and so forth. So however, one of the aspects when we were designing this thing was to build on further and provide some more quick task over here, but that is something which is still a work in the progress, and we are still trying to see, okay, how we can balance this with the kind of the capabilities which you have available in our GCC listing screen. So that's something which we are looking at and work in progress kind of thing. But yeah, so that's a start. We started on some basic quick tasks which you can do on this set of the device. So this is more like a where you can do the filters. And again, if you want as we were discussing, if you're really interested in a specific site as to how that particular fold, what is the kind of the distribution, you can straight away do for here. Server type, this is something which you don't really see for others, but we do have a filter for the satellite. So if you have satellite servers and you want to filter them out and see what they are, this is one of the very easy place to find that out. And in this case, since we don't have satellite servers, that's where it is. Okay, moving on to this dashlet. And this is something which I find really, really useful, dashlet. So that's your last contact dashlet. So quite a lot of the times you want to really monitor that, okay, which all devices have actually contacted back. And if they haven't really contacted back, then most likely you will want to do certain action to say, hey, what's really the matter with you? And you'll want to do certain things on the top of it. So this dashlet can actually give you that kind of the view. So again, you can aim this dashlet on a specific set of the filter, or you can by default it will pick everything within your zone. But again, like other dashlets, if you want to specify it on a specific folder, group, type, platform, and so on and so forth, all that is possible. So again, you have different type of the filters which are available over here to narrow down that specific set of the devices in which you're interested in. Once you have actually decided upon which set of the devices you're interested in, what you can do is then that's where you can come to the time filter and you can decide. So there are there are 5 different, you can divide this chart into 5 different ways. And again, you can actually even do this one. So here you can specify the time period values, like up to 1 day, between 1 day, 7 days, between 7 days and 30 days, and more than 30 days. And let's say if I were to give that, right, so then it will become more than, 90 days to 90 months. Okay, why it is overlapping? Okay, maybe make it to okay, I think this is overlapping. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I was not really looking at these filters because that's what it was. So this between is something which is already covered. So that's why. So maybe I'll leave it to that here. 4 of them is good enough for me. And that's what. So you can see that there are devices which are more than 730 days, which haven't really contacted back. And maybe that's a device. So I can click on these devices, and then it will show me only these devices filtered down in the list. Then I can really actually have a see, okay, why these things are not coming. And again, I can actually add more columns just to get more context of, okay, hey, what's really the problem with these devices? And as I see, most of them are actually lost. So they have actually gone that past time, but some of them are not really lost of it. So what I can do is I can try to do a reset, which will essentially reset the agent on the device, or I can make sure that I do verify last update. Or if I'm pretty sure, right, that let's say if these are lost devices, I know for sure that they are really lost. So what I can do is, so this brings a very good place where maybe I can actually do and just go ahead and delete these devices because they really no longer be so. So the idea here again was right that you can actually find this is something where you can come back and do this thing, identify so that the problem area, right, that where the devices haven't really contacted back, or they have contact back, and then you can do the needful action as it may be.
Yeah, being able to manage those devices directly from there is very effective.
Yeah. Right, and then as you see, right, so these are different type of the dashboards which are there. So these are specific to mobile devices, device again, right? These are different dashlets which are specific to a set of the devices, and you can obviously choose your own pick. And yeah, I forgot that we can actually arrange most of them to your heart's content. Okay, and at this point of the time, since I have almost taken an hour, and Darren must be wondering what's happening. So I'll try to come back and see whether that device actually something happened with this device, or is it really a gone up part right now? I need to really see what actually went wrong over here in this case, which most likely would be the scenario. Hey, something did happen. So this pending, and this one was effective, but that we got, but we got the distribution status? No distribution status. So, okay, I'll need to go back and check, right, what's happening with this particular set of the devices. And again, this is the kind of thing which you can do, right? Once you have this data on board, right? That's exactly the kind of the status tracking which you can do, where you can find out and put up a dashboard. Let's say if you start out with something and where you haven't really seen. Okay, so let me go back and try to see, right? Give me a second. Complete my point. So this becomes exactly the point what you can do with this thing, right? So here for this particular dashboard, I don't really see anything. And if this is something which I want to track, right? So that's something which I will put it on my dashboard and see, hey, why that is not really happening. And till the time I see all green over here, that's what I will be interested in. So if you see another thing, right, when you put it over here, you will actually see the path of that particular bundle. So if you have two bundles by the same name, you can always distinguish them by the path. And I can always go back and try to see and keep on tracking it by this specific dashlet, hey, that when and how the things have happened. Okay. Any further questions you have or you have received, Paul?
No other
areas?
no other came in, but I do notice that on the dashboard, if you go to the dashboard right there, you have tutorials on the right hand side also. So that's a very effective link if they're looking at how to do those particular actions. Just wanted to point that out.
Right, that is. So that's a video which is there, which will essentially guide you some aspects of how you can manage these dashboards.
Brilliant. No, that's great. It looks like you can do a lot of management and move them around and actually put them on your homepage if you're trying to navigate one particular bundle or task that you're doing. So I think that's brilliant. I appreciate that demonstration. It's really effective.
Okay, so then Paul, if no further questions, I think then I'll pass the time back to you and to Darren.
Perfect.
To show his bit of magic.
Thank you, Vikram. I appreciate your time here. Darren, yeah, you have some more to show us?
You bet, Paul. Let me share here. All right. So can you see my screen yet?
We can, yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Vikram. Actually, no, I wasn't wondering about the time at all. I was just enjoying your demo. So thank you very much. It's there's so much to ZenWorks that even as a product manager, Vikram and I are always learning about things learning little things in other areas of the product that we aren't directly responsible for. So it's always fun to hear from Vikram on the configuration management dashlets and ways to use those. to be more effective in their jobs. So I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about the security dashlets that we've done. As you can see on your screen there, hopefully, we've created under the security tab, we've created two dashboards, a security dashboard and a patch dashboard. And what we've really tried to do thus far with the dashlets in these areas is we've wanted to be able to give you a clear view of the software vulnerabilities that exist in your system, as well as with the release of ZenWorks 2020 Update 2 a little over a month ago, or around a month ago, I guess it was, a view of the malware threats that have been detected within your system. To that end, we've got, as I said, the two dashboards, security dashboard and the patch dashboard. The patch dashboard is really kind of a subset of the security dashboard. It allows you to see it allows patch administrators who are focused really on just distributing patches and making sure that patches making sure that they are meeting the patch requirements for the organization by rolling out the required patches within the required patching window, stuff like that, to be able to focus on that patch maintenance and management side of things. So the dashlets there are really related to that, and ZenWorks Control Center can be configured such that a patch administrator only has access to those dashlets on the patch dashboard. Conversely, all of the security dashlets, including the patch dashlets, are available on the security dashboard in order to give a security administrator more of a security-oriented view of what's going on in the system from a patching perspective, as well as from the malware threats that occur in the system. And again, the security dashboard can be turned on or off as well. So for example, if you had, again, a patch administrator that doesn't need to be looking at anti-malware stuff or maybe tracking things by CVE, they're really just rolling out patches, they don't need to look at that or have that dashboard on there. So we've tried to give you some flexibility in being able to show the different dashlets based off of role in the organization. We have a variety of dashlets having to do with both patches as well as CVEs. That's common vulnerabilities and exposures. Because we want to enable you to be able to identify the software vulnerabilities that are most severe in your organization, and then be able to patch those or know their patch status, and as well as patch quickly and easily through that those CVE dashlets. So let's talk a little bit about it. I'm going to talk about the patch ones and the CV ones first, and then I'm going to move on to the anti-malware ones that we introduced in Update 2 in our ZenWorks Endpoint Security product. Across the top here, you can see three, we call them half cards or half dashlets, and what these are patch tracker and CVE tracker dashlets. And what they do is they allow you to track the status of individual patches or CVEs within your zone. You could even use the the patch tracker to track, or the CV tracker to track multiple CVEs as well. If there's a group of, if you have a group of related patches that you want to make sure that have been installed, or if you have oftentimes a critical vulnerability will include multiple CVEs. So you might want to know, have my devices been completely secured and patched against this entire software threat, right? A vulnerability threat. So across the top here, what I have are three individual trackers. The first one that I like to track is my Windows 10 servicing stack updates, to see how those are installed. And you can see that it's tracking along the Windows line. I'm showing that I have one unpatched device of 3, or one of 3 down here. If I go in to that, I can see that okay, this device here is not patched with the August servicing stack update, and it tells me, it shows me which patch is required to do that. I can drill down. I can drill down into individual devices and see the go in and look at the patch and and see whether or not that it's assigned. In this case, this is not patched and there's no assignment, which to me indicates right away that this is not going to be patched unless I manually deploy it or set up a policy. Now, what I'm saying is actually a little bit misleading here, and I probably should explain some things. Windows 10 has started including the servicing stack updates in the cumulative updates for the newer versions, and this device that we're looking at is actually a 20H2 or a 2009 2009 device, which means that the servicing stack update is included in the actual cumulative update. So once I install this cumulative update, this will actually show, this one up here will show as not needed, as basically as patched. And I don't need to install it separately. I just wanted to show it to you from the perspective of being able to track. Now you might be wondering, what is this workaround 2021-08 servicing stack update? Well, Microsoft has had enough issues with servicing stack updates within their cumulative updates over the last couple of months that we've actually created this workaround. Each month we've created workaround servicing stack updates that can be installed outside of the cumulative update to whatever devices you want, just to make sure that your devices continue to work if for some reason they encounter an issue with the cumulative or the servicing stack updates within the cumulative updates. That has absolutely nothing to do with dashlets, but it's for those of you that are using ZenWorks Patch Management, it's a good piece of information to be aware of. Now, the great thing about the dashlets, as Vikram explained, is that you can modify them to show only devices within certain folders, within different device groups, and by default, these will what an administrator sees in their dashlets is restricted to the scope of their administrator rights. So for example, if an administrator only has rights to the workstations folder under devices, he or she will not see server devices in here. Or if you have like an accounting department or an IT department or something like that, with devices in folders, and you have administrators with different responsibilities in different areas, you will only see those. Those administrators will only see the devices for which they have administrative rights to do something with. Again, platform, patch status. You can do a lot of changes or a lot of customization to the dashlets to be able to show exactly what you want. But the patch tracker, I think, is one of the coolest and one of the really most useful. I won't say most useful, but one of the highly used dashlets that we have, so that administrators can track what's going on with their patching. For example, here you can see that I've created a Windows 10 cumulative update patch, so I can know exactly which devices have received the August 2021 cumulative update. Well, you might think, okay, well, I could find that out from the patches page, and that is true. But the fact of the matter is that with the tracker, I'm able to go in and track all of the patches for the cumulative update for all of the versions. I'm able to enter that in here. So in one place, I see all of my devices that and whether or not they're patched for the 2020 or the August cumulative update. Rather than on the patches page, it's by individual patch. So you'd have to go into the cumulative update for Windows version 21H, 21H1, 21H2 to see the patch status for all of your devices that are on different versions. Here you get to see all your versions and their status for the cumulative update under one area. And you can see that down here, that's exactly what's happening, because I've got a 2009 or a 20H2 machine, as well as a 2004, two 2004 machines. And you can see that a patch is still required, and I could drill in on that to see what's going on. I could also just deploy a remediation if I wanted to, if I thought I don't even want to mess with seeing if this has a policy assigned. I just want it to go out to this device right now. I could do it that way. And then we have the standard things above the top. You can output this information down below to a CSV. You can pin it to different areas. You can save different versions of the dashlet. So these are some of the patch tracker dashlets. This is a CVE tracker dashlet, and many of you, I'm sure, are aware of the Windows print spooler remote code execution vulnerability that was out and has been addressed in the recent by Microsoft recently in the last couple of months cumulative updates. What I've done is gone in and been able to configure that CVE so that I can track and I can see exactly which devices are vulnerable to that CVE. And from here, I can see that my 2004 devices are not, my 20H2 device still is, and I'm guessing that's because if I look at the remaining, if I look at the vulnerable, go into the CVE, I'm guessing it's because the policy has just not been assigned to the device. I can see exploitable, go into the exploitable devices. Yeah, I can see that the CV patch is not installed, but it is assigned. If I look here, it'll take me to the patches, and I can see that for this device, the cumulative update is assigned through this patch policy, which right now is I have scheduled to be run manually whenever I do a ZAP PAP rather than on a schedule. And I've done that simply to be able to show you some things. Normally, you would want that running probably on a schedule. based off of your organization's installation window. Paul, do we have any questions at this point or any comments?
No questions at this time. I think
Okay.
this is a great run through. You're keeping everybody's attention.
Excellent. So the CVE is the CVE tracker is one of the very useful dashlets. You can also deploy remediation at this point. If you are unsure of whether the device has been scanned recently, you can do a scan. You can scan the device at this time as well. And again, make a lot of different dashlet modifications, customizations. So you might wonder if you're familiar, if you have patch management, you probably know where these come from. If not, what we actually have are these CV tracker and patch trackers. I've unpinned them. Let me just add it back in. I've unpinned it from my dashboard because I don't need this patch tracker taking up space. This is really just the template for creating other patch trackers, and the same is true of the CV. If you notice, when I click it, I go in and it lets me add and remove things and stuff like that. So I just unpin it when I'm not using it, and then go in and add it when I want it. And the same with the CVE stuff. From a security perspective, we have this CV severity distribution dashlet, and what it does is it lets you see all of the CVEs that impact devices in your zone, and in this case, you can see that I have a total of 30 CVEs. I only have 3 Windows devices in this zone, 3 Windows 10 devices, so I don't have a wide range of CVEs impacting those devices. But you can see that for the vulnerabilities, it gives the ID, the version number, the summary, how many devices are vulnerable to that. And you can see that most of mine right now are because I have not applied that August cumulative update to my 2009 device, my 20H2 device. Once I apply that, these would be gone. But you can see filter and show just critical or high. You can even customize the dashlet to maybe you only want to know the CVEs, the Microsoft CVEs. Now that brought this down to 26. So there are four other CVEs from other vendors other than Microsoft in there, but you can save the dashlet and then track according to those. One of the great things about the CV severity distribution dashlet is that you can select a CVE. So let's say that I wanted to track this one, and then just do the create CV tracker dashlet, and it'll take you into that template already with the CVE pre-populated. You can give it a name, and bam, it's on the security dashboard for you. Of course, you can change up what columns are in here. Some of the dashlets allow for more columns than others. What we've tried to do is provide a listing of all the columns that we think you'll need for the task at hand, but not overdo it so that there's so many columns that you're having to wade through a bunch of information and columns that you don't really need for the tasks that you're trying to do. So the CV severity distribution again gives you an overview of everything that you are scoped for all the devices that you are scoped for. Again, this could change from one administrator to another. For example, I'm going to go back in here, and if I just wanted to know for my servers or workstations, I could do that. I'm actually going to change this, and I've got a couple folders here. I'm going to drill in, and I just want to know the CVEs that are affecting the devices in my accounting organization. Oh, well, that 2009 device is in my accounting organization, so it's there. Let me see if I change it over to this IT, IT folder, if we end up losing some of those. Yeah, see, we lose a lot of those because I've already applied the cumulative update to that. You can see the vulnerabilities and the total CVEs affecting my devices in my IT organization. If I wanted this, I could just save this and say CVE. If I can type severity, severity, distro, IT. And that would be added to there, and then I could move it down wherever I want. If I wasn't interested in that later, could unpin it and go from there. The top CVEs dashlet, it's big. It provides the same information as the severity distribution. It just lets you see the top 10, and in this case, I've done it by the top 10 CVEs impacting my organization by severity. If I go in, you can see that I can also do it by most recently released CVEs instead, or by CVEs by the number of vulnerable devices. So I can really track the CVEs how I want to track them. So use case, I use the most severe tracker because the fact of the matter is that as administrators, you have a lot to track and a lot to do. And this is a great dashlet for giving you a quick view of the highest severity CVEs in your zone, impacting the devices in your zone, and then being able to drill in and see which of those devices are the vulnerable devices. Again, once you do that, you can drill in. I can drill into the CVE. You can see what the devices are, and you can see whether or not they have a policy or a remediation deployment assigned. If the CV patches are signed, so that you know that they'll be taken care of, right? Or if you need to do something yourself, to do a manual remediation deployment or create a policy to take care of that. Again, what we're trying to do is make this information actionable for you, so that not only are we telling you what's in your system, what's going on, but we're enabling you to do something about it, which is really what you want to do, we know. The device patch compliance dashlet gives you an overall view of the patch compliance on your devices. There's a lot you can do this. You can see in this case, none of my devices are compliant. I do that kind of on purpose, because as I do these demos, it's much more interesting to see non-compliant devices than it is to see everything compliant. Now in your system, I know that you want this to hopefully all be green, but that's kind of boring for a demo, so I keep things out of compliance a little bit on my test system, where I also know that there's not going to be any damage to the corporate environment done by that. But you can see on this device here that I got critical patches in order to be compliant. 100% of critical patches have to be applied. Critical patches are security patches, right? So the security patches to be applied. Recommended patches are non-security patches. In this case, we can see in order to be compliant, 0% of recommended patches have to be installed. This is configurable. In the configuration settings, you can go in and change your compliance level for both the critical and recommended patches. And you can also ZENworks detects all the patches that we know about that you're missing. But the fact of the matter is that maybe you don't patch some of the patches or some of the software that we detect require patches. In that case, you can go in and you can turn off, basically say ignore these patches. And in that case, maybe you do that for any patches that you aren't patching through ZENworks, and that way then your recommended patches become really only the recommended patches that you want to have installed. And in that case, you could bump up the recommended patches to 100% because you also want to track your status off of those, what you are considering your required recommended patches. Again, can drill in. If I drill into the critical patches for this Win10 00100, I can see that the two critical patches that are not installed is again the cumulative update. We've seen that elsewhere. It is assigned through this Windows 10 cumulative update policy, so it will be done. And then because I'm running this device, it's actually a VM. I can see that VMware Tools 11.3, interestingly enough, is a critical it had a critical release in June, and I haven't patched that, so it's showing that I need both of those as well. So you can really drill down and see a lot of information to act on, and really just in some cases verify that you have that your patch policies or your remediation deployments, your automated remediation deployments are set up properly to provide the coverage and the patch installation that you want. That's the software vulnerability side of things, and there's a few more patch dashlets on the patch dashboard that I'm not going to go into today. But again, that's some ways that you can use the patch and CVE dashlets and customize some of those to show the information that you really want. Let's talk a little bit about anti-malware. Of course, we added anti-malware capabilities into ZENworks Endpoint Security Management in the recent ZENworks 2020 Update 2 release. We're super excited about that. We've had a lot of customers over the last several years asking us for this ability to have an endpoint security so that they could basically have an anti-malware product distributed out to all, and running on all the devices that you're already managing, right, through ZENworks, rather than using a separate anti-malware product. So we've done that. We have a anti-malware partner that we work with. It's a crazy contract. Let me just say they're a top 3 anti-malware solution. They're a top 2 partner. We're very excited to work with them. It's a crazy contract from the perspective of the anti-competition clause in it. Says that I can't, in a public setting, say who they are because they also provide an anti-malware solution. So they're worried about us, or they're not worried about us, but they don't want us potentially inappropriately using their name in a competitive nature. So anyhow, if you want more information about who the partner is, I can talk with anybody one-on-one via email. So drop a line, drop an email to zen@microfocus.com. I'll get back to you and let you know who that partner is, and also probably send along the anti-malware data sheet that we have if you are interested. For tracking the malware threats in the system, this first dashlet shows the top malware threats detected in the system, and this happens to be over the last 7 days. So you can see that this adware was detected on 2 devices. This virus was detected on 2 devices. A dialer was on these 2 spyware. You can see the different types of categorization that we do. This is an application, a keylogger application as well, and they're color coded. If I go into this dashlet, I can see the different threats, the total devices. I can see the devices that that the malware has been resolved on, and those that where it is unresolved. A little explanation here for those of you who haven't had a chance to look at this yet, but really we have 2 classifications of threats. We have resolved threats and we have unresolved threats. And resolved threats are threats that either a disinfect, a quarantine, or a delete action have been taken on, right? So in essence, those threats have been resolved. They cannot do any damage or any more harm to the device, or any harm to the device. Unresolved threats are threats that have either been ignored, and it could be that they are ignored because of a policy setting. So maybe it's a suspect. Maybe it's a threat that is suspect rather than known infected, right? And in your policy, you've chosen in certain situations to ignore those. We still classify that as unresolved because it's something that we want you aware of in case you do need to do something to resolve that. The other unresolved state is that we couldn't do anything with the threat, and so it's been blocked. So, for example, the on access or the real-time detection has detected a threat. It can't be deleted. It can't be quarantined. So instead, that threat is blocked. Access to open that file is blocked, and so forth. So the file can't infect the device, but it's still there. And if you were to remove our anti-malware agent, the scan engine, it could potentially be harmful. So we flag those as unresolved as well. So this allows you to see the threats according that way, and you can see that that maybe you only care about the top malware threats in the last let's even say in the last 24 hours that are unresolved. So you can set up a dashlet like that, save it out, and then you would have that information and be able to see what's going on. Now you'll actually see that this is what we really do is we show the unresolved threats starting from the most unresolved devices to the least. In this case, because there's this many threats and there's only 2 threats that are unresolved, we get into actually seeing some of the threats that are really in the resolved status. You can actually see that I've done a top malware threats with most recently detected. That way I can see in the last 24 hours what threats have come in on devices on my machine. Again, can do by folders, device groups, device types, operating systems, just about whatever you want. Threat types, if there's certain threat types you want to look at, only you can do that. So really, the ability to customize and track exactly what it is that you're interested in looking at. The device last malware scan says the last time that a scan was run. The default shows you lets you see a scan type of any. So basically, this is by default the dashlet is saying, okay, in the last all devices have run some type of scan, a full, quick, a customer network in the last day. Maybe you want to know more information than that. Maybe you want to know, hey, which devices have run a quick scan? What's the status of the devices for quick scans in the last? So you can see in this case, again, all three have run a quick scan in the last day. On September 6th is when we ran those. Or maybe you want to know full. And in this case, one device has run a full scan in the last day. Now, I actually just spun up these three devices in the last 2 days. So not all of them have done a full scan, and that's why you're not seeing all the devices in there. Once all the devices have done a full scan, it's possible that a device hasn't done a full scan in the last 3 days. It would show up in here, and it would show as not having been scanned for within. It would fall into the 2 to 7 day range instead. So again, device last. You can see your device malware status. Obviously, this is very important. You can see of my 3 devices, I have one that has no threats, one that has unresolved threats, and one that has resolved threats. I can drill down into that. I can perform different tasks on that in terms of updating the malware signature, updating the scan engine itself, or I can drill down and see the devices that and the threats. This one has unresolved threats, so I want to take a look at it. I can go in and it shows, okay, in the last 30 days, you can see in the last 24 hours, there were 6 threats detected, which is what it ends up being for the last 7 days and last 30 days, since 24 hours falls within the last 7 days and last 30 days. There's been 6 detected across all of those time periods, and there's at least 1 unresolved threat. I can go down and see, oh, here's this one is unresolved, as well as this one, and I can go down and for this BD test signature, I can see that here it was this suspicious file was denied access. That's why it's unresolved, and it was denied access here. I could do some filtering on this as well, and it shows a lot of detailed information about that we report back. Again, I know this is kind of an overview of some of the dashlets that we do in anti-malware. The thing I'm hoping, and Vikram and I are hoping that you're seeing as we've gone through these, is that we've tried to maintain some consistency in terms of filters where it makes sense. But the fact of the matter is that the default dashlets are highly customizable to allow you to see exactly the scope of devices that you want, whether that's based on folders or groups, the type of devices, the operating systems, and then it varies from, the other filters vary depending on the purpose of the dashlet. You can see here that I did a custom device malware status dashlet, where I just wanted a dashlet that I could quickly see how many unresolved threats in the last 24 hours. And when I go in, it's already filtered that way to just show me those, and I didn't have to do any mess with the filters at all. You can do those. And then the last one is the device malware signature version that allows you to see the malware signature versions on each device. I have 3 devices. Each one of them has a different malware signature version on it. That's because literally you can have, I've seen 10 malware signature version updates come out in a single day, right? And what happens is, by default, the anti-malware agent on a device checks for an update every hour. It goes up, it pulls down the latest signature. And obviously these are in different, update periods here, because they're not all on the newest dashlet. Again, the patch dashboard is simply a subset of what you can put on the security dashboard to give you the ability to segregate roles and make sure that your administrators are seeing exactly what you want them. Your different administrative roles are seeing exactly what they need to see and what you want them to see. Paul, I think that's about it in terms of the security dashlets for today.
That's fantastic. No, you gave a great overview. You know, I learned so much here, so I really appreciate that myself. Darren, Vikram, thank you so much for attending. This was a community request to ZENcast about dashlets, and I feel we've learned more about what ZCC has to offer here, with daily activities, even reporting to CIOs, because you have the outputs to, if CIOs asking about the threats because we have an onslaught or something, that can be provided. So, Kurt in the audience did say that this will really be helpful for his customers, and give great kickstart to. I hope this gives a great kickstart for the Zen community to learn more about dashlets and digging in. But mostly, Darren, Vikram, we really appreciate your time to show the dashlets to the ZenWorks community. This has been very enlightening, I know, for myself and some of the others.
Happy to have been here, Paul.
That's great. And we look forward to having you both back on again as things develop through ZCM and different requests from the ZENcast community.
Very good. We look forward to it.
All right. Thank you so much. And that would conclude, I guess, our demo today. I appreciate your time, guys. Have a good rest of the week.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Let's go back over here. So I hope you got a lot out of that. To you guys in the Zen community that's listening or watching the recording, your requests, go ahead and send in your requests that you have. This was a ZenWorks community request from you guys from actually the TTT conference, and I hope it was enlightening and that you have what you need. You got out of it some additional things. I do have in the presentation today, and I'll put that again in chat, the download of this presentation. We do have some things on the bundle dashboard and some of the other things in there. We did access. At this point, I'm just going to skim through these real quick because this is for you. Download the PPTX and you'll get the links to these. ZCM, OWS Suite. We have announcements on all of these and more links for your reference. And I hope that helps you out. There's cookbooks and so forth and the different products. So feel free to download this PPTX so that you could use it. And we will be talking to you next week. In 2 weeks, we're going to be covering asset and contract management. We did a couple of asset managements, one with Service Desk, one with ZCM, and now we're going to do it with ZAM. So if you're looking for the past ones, you can look those up on our list on the schedule. But in 2 weeks, we're going to have Oliver Vormwald with us, who really knows this part of the product real well, and he's going to do some great demonstrations for us. That's the upcoming schedule, and I appreciate everybody being here. I hope you guys stay safe, and just hope the best for you for the rest of the week. And appreciate you being here and taking the time out to hear about the latest in ZenWorks. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys have a great week.